This video will discuss chapter 12.2, volume of prisms. So in the last lesson we talked a lot about the idea of a prism, and I want to put up the formula because a lot of times people try to memorize a bunch of different formulas for volume, and the idea of volume, a lot of people think it's length times width times height. That's because you're thinking of a specific type of prism. The idea of volume is it's the area of the base times the height. And so if you think about a rectangular prism, right, a prism with rectangles on all sides, the base is a rectangle, so that would be length times width times the height. Okay, so we're going to look at that one first, but I want to talk about what happens when you look at like a triangular prism to solve a problem. So this is the area, it's the big B is the area of the base times the height. So if you take a look at, for example, the common example of a rectangular prism, you'll notice that this is the area of the base is going to be length times width. So a lot of times it's length times width times height, right? And so people have, a lot of times have memorized that as our formula. And so what I'm going to do is go 4 times 2 times 3. And if I'm going to do this kind of step by step, it's going to be the area of the base is 4 times 2 times 4.2 times 3, which is 12.6. And then I'm going to take that times the height, which is 5. And so this is 12.6 times 5. And so I get a volume of 63. Now, very important to keep in mind that I need to label this correctly. This is cubic centimeters. Right, centimeters cube, or you could write 63 cubic centimeters if you want to write it that way. Either way, you want to make sure that you're labeling this correctly, and it's cubic because you're multiplying these three together, so it's centimeters to the third power. Right, so it's 63 cubic centimeters. Next, let's take a look at what if we are looking at a triangular prism. And so again, I'm going area of the base times the height, but now my base is a triangle, it's a right triangle. So remember that this is now going to be 1/2 base times height times height. Now keep in mind, these heights are different, right? I'm talking about the height of the base of the triangle of the base, and this is the height of the figure. And so my volume is going to be 1/2 times base, which is 6, times height, which is 2, times the height of the prism, which is 7. And so this becomes, well, you can look at it as either 1/2 times 6, which is 3, times 2 is 6, or 1/2 times 2 is 1 times 6. Either way, this should get you to 6 times 7. And so now I got volume equals 42 cubic centimeters. Right? I typically write it with the exponent. Just because it's less writing, you can write it CU, CM if that makes more sense to you. All right, and then finally, I want to take a look at a real-life story problem, one that here in Chicago we know all about. So if you're talking about like a air conditioner, window unit, a room air conditioner can cool a room with a volume of 1,600 cubic feet. If the room has a height of 8 feet and a length of 16 feet, what is the maximum width? So keep in mind that this room is going to be a rectangular prism, right? So my volume is going to be the area of the base, which would be length times width times height. So length times width times height. Now, I know that the volume is 1,600. I know that the length, we said, was 16 feet. I don't know the width. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And then I know the height is 8. So 16 times 8 is going to give me 128, so I got 1,600 equals 128 times the width. Right? I'm just going to use width as my variable. I then can take 1,600 and divide that by 128, and 1,600 divided by 128 would give me, I'm going to come up here, means that W is going to equal, I've got to give myself more space than that. Forgot that I write big. W equals 12.5 feet, which means that my room can have a maximum width of 12.5 feet. If it's less than that, the air conditioner will be able to cool the room. If it's more than that, the air conditioner cannot cool the room. Right? And so remember, this is just feet, not cubic feet, because volume is cubic feet, and we talked about cubic feet up there. Now we're just talking about the width, and the width is just going to be in feet. All right, that's all we got for you today on volume of prisms. Thanks very much for watching the video. Don't forget to do the problems on the bottom of the page. I'll see you in class.